After 80 plus hours spent getting the platinum in Hogwarts Legacy, I can tell you that political drama aside, this game is absolutely incredible, and so is getting the platinum trophy. Haikrazon here with another platinum trophy overview. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you dig the content to help out the little guys, and let's get into it. Hogwarts Legacy gives us that dream of getting your own acceptance letter to the legendary Wizarding School of Hogwarts, right? Solid character creation, and after an enjoyable, albeit a bit too lengthy of an intro slash tutorial, you're pretty much set free to go do whatever you want. While there are a fair bit of convenience progression locks that lead surprisingly far into the story, things like broom riding and magical pick locking, you aren't actually prevented from doing much. The world is pretty damn big, so I didn't even consider roaming it too much without the broom, but I did a little bit, and I didn't hit any kind of lockouts or anything like that. That's always really nice to see in these open world games, right? Yeah, we have seen this in plenty of games, but this is integral to giving us what we've always wanted out of a fully fledged Harry Potter game. Learn a few spells, start some relationships, and off you go. With that does come the inevitable Collectathon Platinum Trophy, but here's where it's a bit different, where they do it a little bit differently than some of the other games. For me personally, every single thing, every marker on the map, every side quest to do, you name it, was fun. And I mean like the bare bones old school definition of fun. Yeah, the Merlin trials got a little on the tedious side, but doing the puzzles never really got old. 96 is just kind of a big number for that specific thing. Plus, if you don't make the same mistake I did, thinking you didn't need the collectible chests, this will go a lot smoother for you, because I read the trophies wrong, and that was kind of a bummer. But everything just kind of interacts with each other. Was I excited to clear the next similar bandit camp from the last? No, but I still needed to kill so many of a certain enemy type, or still needed dueling feats, or something along those lines. So every time you go to do something, you know you're working on multiple things at once. That's always a really rewarding feeling in terms of progression, especially being a trophy hunter, right? So the way they set it up, you feel like you're always making progress while having fun at the same time. I found myself comparing this to Elden Ring in the same way that you're rewarded for just about everything. Even if it's just cosmetic, it always felt worth it, especially when the cosmetics, suit whatever look you want to go for. That was always really awesome. I would never say that this is a better game than God of War by any means, but I had a lot more lighthearted, genuine fun while playing this, and that says a lot because I've been a God of War fanboy from the beginning. But just thinking of what it actually means to have fun, especially in a vibrant, magical world, it just felt very adventurous and lighthearted, and that's really awesome, especially to nail so well. Fun is the biggest determining factor for how you're going to feel when going for a game's platinum, and this nailed it, especially on the longer end of 80 plus hours. Speaking of the platinum, you basically need a full 100% playthrough, a few combat specific trophies, and 3 additional partial playthroughs, being a little tedious but with redeeming qualities. So that was really nice, since I've never been a big fan of multiple playthroughs, even partial, so that was really awesome as well. A couple things to look out for while clearing zones and exploring the world. Like I mentioned earlier, I made a really annoying oopsies, and I thought the trophy was just to complete the challenges, not the actual collection. So yes, clear out every zone as you're there to save from backtracking. That sounds obvious, but again, I messed up bad there, and that was yeah, I don't even want to talk about it. Butterfly chests are also one of the very few things in the game that are not tracked, so I'd say try and knock those out in one sitting if possible. And then enemies that you've used ancient magic on are also not tracked. You only need to use it on 30 some odd enemies or so, not the entire list, only enemies that you can openly encounter in the open world post game, so you don't need to worry about bosses or infamous foes or anything like that. You still need to kill all those, but not use ancient magic on them. Try to keep a checklist as you move through though, just so you don't need to double dip later. I didn't really have trouble getting mine when I didn't even start thinking about it until I started cleaning up the open world, but still, just to save you a little bit of trouble. All of this can be done on any difficulty, and there is post-game free roam, so you can really focus on the story if you dig it, which I did really enjoy. Nothing groundbreaking, but definitely a solid story just to add to the overall experience. I do recommend trying to focus on the beast breeding whenever you can. Out of the few time-based mechanics, it's the longest at 30 minutes to fully breed and move on to the next animal. Just knock them out between missions so you don't need to just kill time later. The plants only take about 10 minutes and the potions take like seconds to minutes, so not a big deal. I know a couple people complained about that even with using the beast materials for upgrades. It's not a big deal having to wait for them. You get an ample amount just from having them in there. You can install feeders, so they're already fed, so you just gotta pet them. It's all pretty quick stuff. I didn't have to like wait around or anything for the trophies related to that. One thing that I never saw mentioned in any of the guides is how much money you need through the game. If you're playing on Sony, and I assume you are watching a Platinum Trophy video, do the Haunted Hogsmeade shop quest as soon as possible. It's available partway through the winter season, and having the shop only gives you an additional 10% on gear sold, but even with that, I still had to farm out beast selling to finally buy all of the recipes. I guess you don't need to include things like your broom upgrades, but with how much you're traveling, you would definitely want that, right? And those got pretty damn pricey as well. You should reach level cap through natural progression while going for 100%, but you can use arenas to grind it if you want. Make sure you stealth kill enemies when you can to hit the 50 needed for the trophy, and the rest is really just miscellaneous. After that, you do need 3 partial playthroughs, 1 for each other house you didn't choose, roughly about 2 hours into the game, as long as you're focused on that, skipping dialogue, cutscenes, all that fun stuff. While I was dreading this part the entire time, it actually redeemed itself, like I mentioned earlier. I had heard that each house had one unique quest, but I had no idea where in the story this was experienced, especially on your first natural playthrough. Fortunately, this is actually the quest that leads you to the map chamber, which is exactly what you need to do for the trophy. So that was nice, getting to experience something a little new each time, especially for Hufflepuff. Nothing major, but more world building, and I'm sure you guys have read about that already. So again, not huge, but it was nice to see, especially when I was already skipping all the dialogue and the cutscenes, but then that new stuff happened. I was like, oh wait, hang on, I want to see what's going on here. So that was just a nice way to lessen the blow of partial playthroughs, especially 2 hours into the game. All in though, I cannot express to anyone how much genuine fun this was, especially getting the platinum. I haven't been as interested in open world platinum trophies ever since the Assassin's Creed games got way too big, so not facing burnout in a pretty sizable game is an impressive feat that felt really good to complete. And one more note that I've heard a lot of friends say, forum posters say, YouTubers say, a lot of people think that this game would have been a lot better in an MMO state or even a multiplayer state. I think multiplayer would have been more okay. I think there's a mod being worked on it too. But for me, if they went in that direction, I don't think it would have been as easier for them to give us that power trip of a wizard that's excelling and learning quickly and taking on the dark magic if you want, any of the curses. It's just being single player, you get that power trip of I am an unstoppable god. And anytime you throw in multiplayer to that, whether it's MMO or just small groups, you always end up seeing some kind of balancing factor, which obviously is necessary and works in those games. But when you're literally just trying to give a power trip, I think this was the best decision. I really loved it. And I will say, if I was dicking around in this with a bunch of buddies in multiplayer, the platinum probably would have taken twice as long just from being distracted and doing stuff with your buddies. That's just my opinion. They really nailed the power trip, especially if you do opt into the curses, because those were just so fun, and the storyline behind them is so good too. So I highly recommend that you ignore whatever nonsense people are trying to say about this game and just have some adventurous fun. I had such a good time with this game, and I know a lot of bangers are coming out soon as well, but this was just such a good way to start the beginning of the year, man. It was such a good game. So if you guys dig this video, please remember to like, comment, subscribe. Really helps out the little guys. I appreciate you guys. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.